So my relationship with Softr has been weird over the years. It's not a platform that I particularly like, and there are a few fundamental reasons why this platform has never really clicked for me personally. However, recently it saved my butt in a very big way. In the process, it disappointed me, then surprised me again. Let me give you a bit of a timeline because this is very cool, but borderline stupid. It goes something like this. One of our clients recently needed a portal that didn't need a login, but it would allow users to edit their records and maybe create new records. It was like a moving company. I had a few options in front of me. I could use Pori. It's kind of overpriced for what it is. I could use Glide, but that's overcomplicated, bit of an overkill, plus it's expensive. I could use Bubble, but I'm not a Bubble expert, so it would take me forever to set something up. Well priced, great features, but steep learning curve, I would say. I wanted to use NoLoco, but our Irish friends at the time were busy drinking Guinness and working on other things. I decided to give Softr a try, and this is what happened. Time to quickly demo this thing. The big idea is that we are a moving company, and we've done a moving company demo before using Glide with Stef. Remember that video? Check it out. This time, it's the same concept. We're just using Softr. So much easier to set this up. Honestly, takes minutes. We have our jobs, we have our job details here in Airtable, and the big idea is that I'll send this link to a client. They will open the job up. Okay, this is job number 1 for Sergey. It's in progress. We have this address and we have some things that we need to do for him. We need to move the painting of grandfather from living room. There's some test tasks. There's a move a grand piano task. Sergey can jump in and add a new job detail if he wants. And we're going to talk about how to set all of this thing up. Essentially, I can jump in, I can add a new test task 2. I can add some attachments if I want. The job is pre-filled. We can hide this, but I'm going to talk about this later. There's a status. We can hide it. And all I can do is just press submit at that point. And then if I refresh my page, data is now there, test task 2. And moreover, in my job details, I can see that I've got that test task 2 in my Airtable. So yeah, simple as that. Let's now dive in and take a look at how to set this whole thing up. Now, at this point of the video, I would like to thank absolutely every single one of you who's subscribed to our channel, who's watching us and supporting us. Now, if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to ring that bell icon so that you don't miss any future uploads. Back to the video. So there's 3 key components to this puzzle. Number 1, Airtable. Number 2, Softr. Number 3, Fillout. And I'll explain why Fillout needs to be involved in this particular project. First of all, Airtable, very straightforward. There's a jobs table where I store my jobs. There are a few interesting, funky little links, which I'll talk about, but essentially nothing really crazy going on here. Job details, that's just a related table where I store the job details of my job. Now, let's jump into Softr. So Softr is the main thing, the main attraction here. I'm not going to show you how to log in and set up an account. All of that is, I think, self-explanatory. But generally speaking, the main thing that I would be taking away from this particular project is the fact that we need to make sure that authentication is disabled. By default, you will have a default user, like a test user or something, that just appears in the users table. Delete them, and then you'll be able to disable authentication to this particular project. The next thing is kind of like discussing the pages. So I have my jobs page, which technically should be hidden. I don't want one client to be able to see the jobs. The main thing is, of course, the main jobs record view. This is where I was getting excited with Softr, and then I was let down. Why were you let down, Alex? I actually need to have users logged in to edit records and in some cases add records. I am able to allow people to add records, but there are problems with this. So let's say I publish this app, I open incognito, and let's go in here and click on a job. The first thing that you'll see is that when I try to add a record, I need to actually tell it which related job it applies to. Now, I'm not a Softr expert. Maybe there's a way to do it, but I haven't found it. During the rush of that particular project that I was experiencing, I just decided to use Fillout to add a job, and it works beautifully. That's where I was again relieved by how good Softr is in that respect, because I can basically jump into my header here. I can create a new action, call it something like add job detail. The action itself is open URL. I can open a URL from my main job details, essentially this thing where I'm simply concatenating the address. Actually, my bad. Sorry, wrong. The add job URL is essentially the Fillout URL that I get with my Fillout form. Again, I don't think I need to explain how to set up Fillout, but essentially I hooked up my Airtable to Fillout, the job details table more specifically. The integration works as a create record integration. And yeah, essentially I get a beautiful little link that I can share with people. One other thing, when you're setting this up, of course, jump into URL parameters and add a URL parameter, rel job, so that then you can actually pre-fill the related job field that you've added to your form. And if you see here, my default value is in fact rel job from my URL parameters. And of course you can just hide it, logic, hide always. But for the sake of the experiment here, I'm just showing this field altogether. All of this can be hidden, like status could be hidden, but I'm pre-filling it with to do. I'm basically fetching that URL, and you see how it already pre-fills rel job. I'm pasting it inside of the job over here and making sure that I'm pre-filling the record ID. Simple as that. Then just manifest it over here in the little custom button that you can. Unfortunately, you have to be logged in to edit, but at the same time, I could argue that you could create another Fillout to specifically edit this job, because that's 100% doable. Not only that, I was actually thinking that you could potentially add an edit button over here on the actual job items. So if you want to let your client edit the individual jobs, they can. Sadly, as you can see, if I jump into content, or is it content or is it actions? Actions, there you go. Edit, only logged in users are allowed to edit. Final little trick is of course to create the job link ID, which again, the way that I sort of did this was to visit that app, and like it will open up a new tab. This opens up all the jobs, and like I said, you can hide this, but as soon as you visit one job, you get this little URL, and this is the part that you need to replace. The rest of the URL is static. Jump in, make it dynamic, and that way you can just basically, you know, text this URL to your client. They have access to their own record. They can edit, they can, well, with Fillout, they can create new records with Fillout. I honestly hope that Softr allows us to edit things. Now, the other minor thing that I didn't kind of like, and again, it's this little thing, add record. I think I need to talk about this. When I'm adding a record, or I want to add a record, if I go here, add record, it simply doesn't allow me to fill in anything in here. I can sync it with source. Like, how do I pre-fill the record where I am at right now? Because I would much rather use this button, which opens up this beautiful little modal. I like this. I just can't use this. The other idea was, of course, to kind of like, well, I want to add this button over here. No can do, because in this case, I have to type in a static URL. Come on. However, over here on this button, my URL is dynamic. It's asking me, open URL, like which field stores your URL. But the fact is that this thing can basically run for very, very cheap. There's a lot of things that you can do for virtually zero money. I love it. It's so good. I can say that I'm a believer. I get it. Now, after many years of kind of like doubting them, I now will keep Softr here in my heart, where it matters most. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next one. Cheers.